This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining Gym. SuperTraining Gym, the strongest gym in the West. On this particular day at SuperTraining Gym, we are banging out some deadlifts, and that must mean that it's a Tuesday at SuperTraining. Every Tuesday, 52 weeks out of the year, we hit up some goddamn deadlifts. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it be. You can see from my warm-up there, I did a couple of reps sumo and a couple of reps conventional. That's very typical at SuperTraining Gym for a lot of us. We like to switch hit. We like to bat from both sides of the plate. We like to swing both ways, if that makes any sense. Here's my boy Willie hitting up some sumo deadlifts. You can see he's got a very wide stance. We've been working with him on trying to bring that stance in a little bit so the angle isn't so unreasonable that he can't get his body in a good position. Whenever you go really, really wide with sumo in a deadlift, or go super wide on a squat, or go super close in on a bench press, or even really wide on the bench press, you start to run into some things that you're not able to no longer manage. A lot of the typical rules that we teach people on a weekly and daily basis to get stronger kind of no longer apply when somebody's going so wide. Look at that. Look at those glutes. Wow, I bet you guys are all wishing this is scratch and sniff video. You perverts. But it's not. It's just some deadlifting. On this day, I did sets of 6. I used 405, 455, 495, and 525 was my last set. So not that many sets, but getting in a good amount of reps. Not that heavy either. Getting in and out of the main lift a little faster is what I've been working on, so I can keep myself from getting hurt. 1, 2, so I can keep things from getting stale, because now I'll have more assistance exercises in the mix. And then 3, I really think it's a great way to stay fresh and to build up strength in the deadlift is not to over deadlift yourself. Something you got to be very, very cautious of. Here's my boy Fat Dan. He's very fast off the floor, as you can see here, very explosive. He's been working on his form and his technique for a long time as well. And even though he's pulled 705 pretty easy in the gym, he's still working towards more. He's still working towards being able to pull that and then some. This November coming up at Jesse Burdick's gym, CSA, Combat Sports Academy, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have new visitors in the gym all the time. We get people from all over the place. I wish I could remember where these two guys were from. A guy and a girl couple. You'll see the female lifter in a little bit as she worked up pretty heavy in the squat. But this guy's got some great explosiveness off the floor. Lower back was a little bit roundy, but sometimes that's the way people are built. He has a large back, upper and middle, and lower. And so because of that, sometimes people build up so much muscle mass that when they bend down, it appears that their spine is very rounded, but in many cases, they're trying to do the best they can with their spine. Here's my chubby little self, pulling myself down into a pretty good position. Scale of 1 to 10, I only gave that like a 7.5 because I can do a lot better than that. And I have to do a lot better than that in order to pull big in November. I'm doing full power meet, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just a bench presser. I'm not just a bench-only guy. So, something I wanted to kind of prove to myself more so than anything else, more so than worried about what fans think or YouTube thinks or anything like that. Just some more personal goals for me. I'd like to bench 600 pounds. I'd like to squat over 622 pounds in just a pair of sleeves. And I'd like to be able to deadlift around 722, 730, somewhere in that range. Again, good strong pop off the floor from Big Dan. And then he just kind of reels the weight into himself as he gets towards the top of the lift. Pretty simple, not too complicated on what it is we're trying to achieve, what it is we're trying to do. On this day, we did higher reps also because we're coming off of just doing some heavy singles and heavy doubles, heavy triples. And so it's time for a new change of pace for a few weeks. Then we'll go back and we'll revisit those singles again.
On Madden football, my intelligence would be a 10. My conditioning would be a 0. My speed would be a 4. But hopefully my strength would be like a 27.
There I was explaining if I was a Madden football player, what my stats would be. They'd be terrible. Paying attention, I'd have a 0. Tackling ability, a 0. Speed, 0. The The only thing I might have is some strength. That'd be about it. That's a little bit better with the shoulder positioning, but it can still be better. I can still get a little more tightness before the weights have to even come off the ground. I can get myself a little bit tighter before that before that situation happens again. I'd say main movement nowadays, I'm trying to get in 4 to 5 sets, 4 to 5 main sets. And then I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to do a lot of different assistance stuff because I realize the value of it. I realize how important it really can be, and it can not only help you help get rid of pain, but it can help you manage that pain through exercise, which I think is just fantastic. Getting people to move, getting people to feel good about the way their bodies are is really, really important. That's why things like ART and things like Graston are really popular, because a lot of people are in a lot of pain, and they almost don't know what to do once they get in pain like that. So a lot of deadlifting going on these days. I mentioned earlier, trying to get in and out of the main sets, the main work a little sooner. And so for me, 3 to 5 main sets, something heavy-ish is usually what I'm after. Now I'm moving into some stiff legs, a deficit pull off of a plate. I believe I was just doing sets of 6 to 8 on this one, and only did about 2 or 3 sets. Typically would hang out in that area of sets and just do 6 sets, 8 sets, 10 sets, or 12 sets. And for many times I felt like it was a little overkill for myself. That could be highly beneficial to other people. It could work for a good amount of people, but it wasn't working great for me. So made the switch back to just kind of trying to figure out how to hold onto the bar. I also used some of my own lifting straps, and then also just working on my grip on some of these different machines and pieces that we have here. Can also do some grip work with Filipino Thunder. He used to do some strongman events, so that'd be good. He'd be able to teach me about a thing or two. Big Dan sneaking in some reps after his main lift. Just trying to work on that form, work on that technique. You want to try to think about, when you're working on your form and technique, you want to think about 2 things. You want to be able to, think about the lift itself. Because if the weights are too heavy, you're not going to be able to think about the lift itself. You're going to only be able to think about lifting like a motherfucker. You're not going to be able to concentrate on your form and your technique. So you want to make sure that you're also just learning the proper sensations and proper feel of each lift as you're doing them. Make sure you're recording the lifts, and that way you can start to have a process of accelerated learning. You can learn a lot faster than the next guy by simply watching YouTube videos of people that look similar to you and that lift in a similar way. Stiff leg deadlifts were really tough after the main movement, but I thought they were necessary. Haven't done them in a while, so I did some stiff leg deads and some more back work I finished up with after that, just with the fan blasting me almost completely against the wall. There's our boy John. He benched about 355 on this particular day. And here's this new chick who comes in off the streets and squats about 400 pounds. Unbelievable. Now, she wasn't really happy with the depth. She didn't feel like she got depth, just for all you haters out there. I still think it looked like a good squat when I was there. I saw it. There's Bobby handling 185 pounds with the slingshot on. Been having her do a lot of overload work, but the problem is we can't get her off the bench. She's stuck. Kind of like Bro Science got stuck that one time. She got completely stuck to that bench. So here, after all that deadlifting, here's how you actually deadlift. This is 927 or 921 pounds, done by Yuri Belkin, Russian lifter. Unbelievable. Strength is never weakness. That's it from SuperTraining Gym.